food, tools.
The more races you win and the higher level you get to, the more you have people expecting you to win. The pressure can absolutely get to you.
I was going to remind you of Standing Man. Do your job.
All right, Payson, what are we doing today?
Today we're setting a new White Rim fastest known time. My name's Payson McElveen, and I have big bike racing dreams, and that brought me to Durango, Colorado. I remember the first time I rode a bike. It was in the driveway, and I was rolling down, ended up riding the dirt.
Payson has pretty much mountain biked his whole life. He has an incredible work ethic. You don't always recognize that when the kid's small.
I'm trying to set the fastest known time on the White Rim because it is arguably the most famous marathon loop in the country. It's such a legendary loop that you get all of these myths about what's been fastest. So we want to try to standardize the loop and say, if you want to go after the fastest known time, the FKT, this is your start point, this is your end point. Just gonna go spin around for like 10 minutes.
I get a 2.5 now.
I think it's a 2.5.
It's all right. It's a minor detail.
I'll live. I'm mostly nervous about how hard it's gonna be. But we live for challenges like this, so it's all good. Okay. Food, bike. That's about all I need.
How do you feel?
Proud. Always. You always wish you could be with him, but this is a solo saga, so I'm happy for him for that. And it's a beautiful day.
White Rim is wild, raw, really remote, really exposed, just breathtaking geography, and honestly kind of dangerous. It's the real deal in terms of deserts. There's a lot of people that die out there.
Growing up in Central Texas riding with my dad, I'd often hear stories of the legendary White Rim and how it completely worked over he and his friends. I've chosen to start the loop at the northernmost point, where recreational riders start, rather than choosing a starting point that gives me a technical advantage. My first checkpoint is the incredibly fast drop-in of Horse Thief, where I'll hit speeds of upwards of 40 miles an hour. At mile marker 25, there's a technical rocky climb called Hard Scrabble. At 50 miles in, the slick rock of White Crack takes me to a plateau of sorts. From there, the loop continues into punchy uphill rollers for the next 25 miles, which finally leads into the grand finale, the uphill crux known as the Schaefer Climb, which starts at 85 miles into the ride.
In terms of what Christian was saying about pacing, he wants me to do a high-end endurance ride to this halfway point, and then with 2.5 hours to go,
Then you do the tempo.
the way he put it was just compete. Then you go into athlete mode and you just drill it. And so not carrying extra weight up Schaefer in the form of fluids is going to be key. So I'm basically taking 2 big bottles. I want to stay very strict about it being completely self-supported.
You're going to be taking 52 ounces of fluid.
Yeah. No, I know.
Okay.
And he's right there. What time did he start?
7:41. That would be pretty darn fast.
I mean, the physical aspect is just enormous, and it's really daunting. I mean, it's hard to overstate how significant a 6-hour self-supported time trial is. Staying focused that long is going to be nuts. So this project has changed my training in that I'm doing a lot more volume. The total miles I've ridden, the total hours I've ridden, the total number of elevation gain is way beyond anything I've done in the past. And you do have to change your training for that.
There's the possibility that you do come in under the record, and then there's a possibility that you don't. We need to be able to sit well with either one of those. In order to get the record, you've got to be willing to not get the record.
You're spinning faster than you can say. Your threshold heart rate at the end of that duration, as you go up, is going to be in the mid 160s, because then you get to compete.
Because there's going to be those moments where, dude, we're going to have to use mental energy. I mean, we're going to have to like pour it on. We're going to have to be super focused. We're going to have to talk to ourselves constantly.
The hardest part of an attempt like this is the terrain is incredibly unforgiving and really challenging. I mean, you're covering 100 miles, and there are very few of those 100 miles that are easy. It's constantly going up and down. The surface is loose, rocky, dusty, unpredictable. One wrong line, and that throws the whole thing into jeopardy.
We think he is in the Soda Springs Basin. He should be right here.
It shouldn't take him 45 minutes to get there. He's moving.
He could be 5 minutes ahead of pace.
Yeah.
Go, Goober.
So the thing that's going to make the Schaefer climb even more of a crux than it typically is that I'm getting there with 4.5 hours of riding in my leg. At first it's just straight, and then it just starts switchbacking like crazy, and it's one of the most beautiful roads I've ever seen.
He's right there. So 7:41, so it'd be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12:50. And it's at 12, oh yeah, he's smoking it.
He hasn't hit Schaefer yet.
He hasn't.
Oh, I struggled up hardscrabble. Let's see, about what time do I start worrying?
The reward is in the struggle.
Oh. There you go.
Oh, that person's moving.
You're just required to rise to the occasion. It takes your body and your mind to new places and expands what's possible.
That's him.
Come on, Payson!
Oh, he's suffering. You can see it.
I don't need this. Like, I don't need this to happen, right?
Basically, what you're saying, like, if I fail, I'm still okay.
You are who you are, and you're just gonna ride a bike for 6 hours tomorrow. Your dad is there, and it's really, really cool, but your dad loves you before you rode bikes. So, like, it's just cool that you ride bikes now, but it's not the big thing.
My dad's greatest struggle is he spent a big chunk of his life just being in chronic pain. He was still working as a doctor, as an ER doctor, and he was waiting on patients from a wheelchair. Not all was perfect.
This is the last one, Lovey. It's now, buddy.
I think about that pretty often when I'm racing and riding.
Oh, go, Payson. You've got more than 45 minutes. Go get it.
I just wanted to see him. You always want to know it's not a mechanical. He looked really tired. I just hope he's got enough left in the tank to finish the loop. I think he does too.
On really important races, I write a little note on my top tube that reminds me of him. Just knowing, you know, those lost years that he had, and that you should never take anything for granted. Just give your best every day, because you don't know what's around the next corner.
Did it, bro.
I have all the respect in the world for that guy that had the record, Andy Dorais. I had to dig so deep. If someone were to break this, I would just be impressed. I wouldn't even be all that disappointed. Just the commitment it takes.
Get over here. Suck it up. Crying is fine.
I haven't cratered so hard. Everything basically from 5 minutes into that climb to the finish was about the deepest I've ever gone. There is a little bit of curiosity I have about how fast I could do it, starting at the bottom of Schaefer and ending at the bottom of Schaefer, because doing that fresh, I think, is a pretty big game changer. Emotional toughness or grit is more of the battle than the physical side. I mean, we're capable physically of way more than our minds even allow us. And sometimes it takes really bad moments in the past to give yourself full appreciation of the moment you have now. Going through hardship mentally as well as physically is key to being successful at anything, really.